for us as a department of psychology. Really, why we're here is just all about psychology. But I really appreciate all of my colleagues, my leaders, my deans, and HODs that have come to, commiserate with us on a day like this. Basically, we have students just enroll into programs, and some of us just find ourselves in programs we're not even aware what it's all about. But this department chooses on a day like this to tell us what it is or what it means to be a psychologist. I take the course psychology as one which is synonymous to a medical profession. As a medical expert, there are certain traits we ought to exhibit. A medical doctor cannot afford to make mistakes because of the sensitivity of his profession. The same applies to that of a psychologist. As a psychologist, you ought to understand that there are certain traits you have to imbibe. That's why this program is titled, or we gave it the theme, Becoming a Wholesome Psychologist. Because we believe that after your 4 years in this school, you will not just be a psychologist, but a well-groomed psychologist. I believe we're happy together. So please, we have our guest speakers here who will be speaking to us as the time goes on.
As a dean, actually, we are having lots of intention to have this kind of lines and things like that, but it should be coming from the students. I want to thank Student Affairs as well, because you guys make it happen. It's very colorful, it's very well organized. Actually, it's student driven. One of the good things that I want to recognize is student driven. And it's amazing because it's new starting up department. We just started up last year with I think 12 students or 13 students or so. And it just became a huge department and very successful. I'm watching up your exams, I'm watching up your activities, I'm watching up how healthy department is growing up, and I'm very thankful for all of the counterparts, students, parents, faculty, and the management at the same time. Psychology is very key for our societies, and I hope you guys are going to get a very well education with your staff. Prof. Agata, thank you for joining us. Dr. David, thank you for joining us. Dr. Okere, thank you for leading the department, and all of other departments who are actually trying to do an adjustment service for you guys. And I hope it will all went well. And after basically 2 years time, we are going to graduate our first set and send you out to the society to serve. And I hope it's going to be, you guys are going to be our face of the department, face of Nile University, and we are all going to be proud of you. Thank you so much. And I wish you all the best, and I wish you guys to continue this way. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Psychology department and all the students. I'm very happy today because of what our eyes have seen. You are students and you are able to put this together before graduation. What I don't know is what you'll be capable of doing when you graduate, if you can do this at this stage. So now that shows that when a student puts his or her mind on something, that you will achieve what you want. So if you apply the same principle to everything that happens in class, and you put your mind to it and say, I want to pass statistics, that means you will pass statistics, because you have the determination and the will to do that. Because from my understanding, you organize most of these things. All the ideas came from you, and your HOD was directing you step by step along the way. So congratulations.
Somebody asked a lecturer this question, who a psychologist is, and the lecturer said, I'll answer that question by simply comparing a magician to a psychologist, right? And he said, a magician is someone that pulls rabbits out of a hat, while a psychologist pulls habits out of a rat. Do you get the joke? Laugh now, can't you laugh? All right. Now let me just start by saying this, right? We live in a very vast world. The core of psychology, right, is about people. Who agrees? Who agrees? It's very, can we interact? Can we interact? Now, the core of psychology is about people, right? We, their interests, their motivations, what actually motivates actions and also behaviors. Now, we say it's a science of behavior and mental processes, right? Of how people actually get to make decisions about their lives. Basically, how we get to feel, how we get to make judgment, how we get to think and reason out situations. Now, why is this so important? Because now I realize that the most important element of any society is people. Whether you believe in the creation story or in the evolution story, either way you stand, we all know that the world right now wasn't the world it was before, many years ago. True or false? True or false? Now we have had evolution of societies over time. We've had people establishing constitutions, policies, and coming up with inventions. All of this simply happened because people began to put their minds to work. People brought about innovations. People brought about invention. People brought about everything we see inside today. Look at our world today. I simply have the whole world in my hands, right? With my phone. I can access every single thing in the world. Why? Somebody put his mind to work. Do you understand? So look at all we've been able to create simply because people actually came together and put their minds to work, right? We brought about some of the most amazing and incredible inventions that ever existed because human beings simply put their minds to work. That's to tell you how much more we can do as people. Now we are the only field in the whole world that gets to study the very instrument that makes those things happen, which is simply people. So you can call us the people engineers, right? True or false? So if the most important elements of society or the world are actually being studied by us, that makes what we do the most important study in the world. True or false? True or false? So now, that's very, very crucial for us to know because we realize that, we have been not only have we made incredibly awesome advances in society, we have also in a way done some damages too, right? We've had some wars that happened, things that happened in society, which have been simply products of people's decisions over time. But notwithstanding, we have still made incredible progress in the world as a result of putting our minds to work. And so that's what we do. That's what we do by studying psychology. So I'm mentioning some other challenges that we have as psychologists. Number one, we have things like we have the isolation. Most psychologists are actually isolated. A lot of times because some people expect us. I was depressed before, for instance, and I worked out a plan to actually stay a little more excited. Now that would happen, and I don't really, I've not journaled that down, so I can't really evaluate what I did. Is when you're able to record your activities or your progress level, they're able to now evaluate what you did and the effect it brought, and then how you're able to actually make switches or changes to actually be more effective in that. So I think by recording your progress level to help with actually monitoring your success level or your progress level as you go on.
Because what you said was identify your goal, have a plan, and then commit to your plan. Now, the thing is, we now have a plan, and how do you measure your activity? So it's just like they say, I know who I want to be. I am not yet who I want to be, but definitely I am not today who I was yesterday. So which means that you have a plan and you already know what it will take for you to get to your plan. You are not yet there, but when you look back yesterday, you realize that there's something at least, one thing that you have achieved in the plan.
And also very importantly, sometimes a lot of times is that we go from one, like an ambulance, we go from one chaos to another chaos. We don't really take time to celebrate our progress level, right? There should be a healthy balance between work and also getting to recognize your progress and then actually celebrating that at the level. You get the point? That way helps us stay in the right frame of mind to actually take on new challenges, basically. So it's important for you to identify that you're actually making progress in any area of endeavor, right? A lot of psychologists actually have someone they report to, right? That they also like have as their own personal therapist. So a lot of times it can be very overwhelming when you are solving so many people's issues, and you are it's what is called compassion fatigue. Like you are so overwhelmed with actually having to, solve everybody's problem. Sometimes so it also helps to have your own psychotherapist or someone to also help you as well. So that way helps you to, in a way, um, just offload. So you can actually stay in the right frame of mind to actually take on new challenges. Basically. So I think it really helps to have that in your circle and the plan. Yeah. All right. I think my 5 minutes is up. So thank you so much, guys, for listening, and thank you.
Are we putting our hands together?
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure to be with you here. I do not intend to make this like a classroom exercise because I'm told it's a picnic, and in picnic you free float, so to speak. I'm supposed to speak about helping others as a psychologist. Helping others as a psychologist. And what is it to help really? When you want to help somebody, what is it you want to do? You are offering assistance to that person to improve his position, to improve his condition. If you are not equipped for that purpose, you cannot help that person. I give you a typical example. You're driving on the road, you meet an accident. There's probably the first man that comes there may be a 80-year-old man, and people are lying on the ground. He can, even though he has the desire to help those who have injury, he cannot do it because his capacity as an old man cannot allow him to do it. So you cannot help where you cannot reach that help yourself, when you do not possess that help yourself. Okay? So as psychologists helping others, you need to have the wherewithal before you can help. Otherwise, you will just be there, and look just like that old man that made the accident. Okay? How can you help? That old man couldn't help because of his strength, because of his weakness. You as a psychologist, you need to have the equipment, the training, the exposure, the understanding, and your personal ability to be able to help. Okay? And that comes from training. You cannot be seen or known or recognized as a psychologist unless you have a minimum of master's degree. Okay, so if you go outside and you meet somebody who has a degree, first degree in psychology, and you become a psychologist, well, you can do that because you don't know. And the reason is that at that first level, at that first degree level, you are not sufficiently exposed to the principles and practices that will launch you into becoming that psychologist. I remember when I came back from the US and I was working in one place, I met somebody first degree, and they called him a clinical psychologist. First degree. I was wondering. Of course, they asked him, it was a military setting, military hospital. They asked him to do certain things. Of course, the level of training did not allow that person to do that exactly. So he was kind of treated anyhow. I felt bad because I know that, due to lack of understanding, the person has been placed in a position where he cannot really function. Okay, so I do not blame the person. I blame the people who didn't recognize what it is. And it is so in our society because psychology is pretty young, you know. Well, not too young, but young enough, you know. In daily discourse in Nigeria, it is just recently that you hear people talk of psychology. Before they don't, you know, they don't talk of psychology. They just, carry you to the church if you have issues, carry you to medicine man if you have issues. But these days, yes, we are beginning to get exposed and beginning to, our body of knowledge and our information level has increased that we can now know, what the effort a psychology has or what are the competencies that he has and ask for it. Even at that, there is still challenges. Psychology is like what they used to tell us in those days. It's like an American Express card. You can't leave home without it. As soon as you are waking up from your sleep, as you are going to bed, you're already using psychology. You're already using the principles of psychology, no matter how good it might be, for how you will prepare yourself tomorrow, how you will get up, how you are going to turn out, how you are going to attain some of that. All those things are psychology. Okay? Even though you may not know it. Before you go to bed, you get yourself, helping others. You can't help others if you do not have what it takes to render that help. Okay? And from what I've said from training, you get that body of knowledge. That body of knowledge allows you to decide, I have a first degree in psychology. Let me go further, to a higher degree so that I can have some specialty. And there are so many areas you can go to. You can go and become a counseling psychologist, a clinical psychologist, behavioral, cognitive psychologist, human developmental psychologist, cognitive psychologist. You can be any one of them, but every one of them help in a different way. But the ones we are familiar with and the ones we like to talk about are the ones that you see. One of our deans came here, told us she has stress, she wants us to do something about it. Those are the ones you probably see, and you probably interact with. Those are probably clinical psychologists or counseling psychologists. And their training is just like the training of other people with a master's degree. As soon as you get that master's degree, the level of exposure of the knowledge, because it is assumed really that as soon as you have that master's degree, you should be able to function independently. There are many ways you can help. It's not only psychology that help. In all other professions that help. If somebody is in economics or something like that and somebody doesn't have money, you give him money, you have helped him to solve his problem. So these problems are behavioral. They are behavioral, and behavioral because of the complexity of behavior, of human behavior. We take extra time to analyze and study behavior because no two people are exactly alike. No two people exactly have the same composition. No two people have the same behavior. So you have to have, in addition to the knowledge you have been exposed to in the class, to have some personal attributes that will make you deal with the situation as you meet them. That's what distinguishes people from one person from the other. So to help others, you must know what their problem is. You must know what is available to you to address that problem. Then you now address that problem. You now apply that information you have to that problem. And sometimes it may not be as effective as you would have, so you can use some other things. That's why we have the eclectic approach to handling issues. Eclectic is you use not one but more than one approach to bring the problem to a solution. The end point is that you must make sure the person who has come to you gets the relief, gets the assistance, gets the help that he needs. But to be honest with you, it is not in all cases. It is not in all cases that you will succeed. It's not in all cases. You know, there are, I know in psychiatric hospitals, you know, where I did my internship, if a patient is in that hospital for some time and is not making progress, and the law allows him to stay in that hospital for 1 month. After 1 month, he cannot stay in that hospital. After 1 month, you have to move that patient to another hospital where it is considered a new treatment. And you carry the case of the person, the type of the person to that place so that it can continue. But because sometimes it is not possible within the time, you know, limit given to you to see that patient to be able to, we have not gotten to that stage yet in this country. We are not even seeing psychologists in the, So, but in civilized countries, the law allows you to have a patient for not more than a particular period of time. If that patient is not in that place for that particular period of time and it's not true, you move him to another facility, okay, so that he can continue. You do not know. So, our limits, what are limits? You have got the training, you have got the experimental researches that are done for each of the problems. Yes, the understanding of that principle may not lend itself to the particular person, and to be honest with you, you can't claim to be the Almighty for any reason. A human being is a human being, and there are limitations in everywhere. You can't, the truth of the matter is that if you are getting to that position and you think you are not met with it, you can discuss with a friend, you can discuss with another person, see, this my patient who is not making progress. Can you take over? Can you assist? This is what I've done, this is what I've done, and it's not yielding the result. The person may see it, may see what you have not seen, or may use what you have not used, or may even suggest, something that you never thought of, that is not even in the books. So those are the things. But to be honest with you, helping others as a psychologist requires you to have a depth, a repository of knowledge in the profession that you are professing. It is that depth of knowledge that will give you the necessary ammunition, the necessary wherewithal to address the issues or the problems that will confront you. If you do not have that, you cannot be a magician. There's no way, in those days they used to say voodoo psychology and all that kind of things, where somebody, lot of harm has been done with that, Now we are scientists, and we are using scientific method and scientific principles to address the myriads of human problems. And I can tell you, like I said earlier, there is no human problem that has not been studied or is being studied now. Even the effect of COVID, as late as it is now, we are still in it. People are already studying it and knowing its effect and the long-term effect it will have on individuals. Be rest assured, students, that the front is very fertile for me. The only thing you have to do is to ground yourself, get yourself grounded in the profession. First degree, you get your second degree where you are armed and you can go and do a PhD, and you can branch out and do some other things. With that, you will enjoy yourself, you will be happy, and you'll be glad that you chose this profession for a living. Thank you very much.
Please, another round of applause for you. I learned a lot from your presentation. At least they said, before you help somebody, know that you can help the person. Not that two of you will not end up needing help together.
So, what's the significance of this event?
This event, becoming a wholesome psychologist, is amazingly significant because this is the first time we are having such an event around this axis, and this is the first time we're having this event within the faculty. The Department of Psychology started just about 2 years ago, and we've made tremendous progress. So this particular event is aimed at launching it's aimed at moving the students forward to enlighten them regarding what psychology is all about and how to be better psychologists as they move on in their studies.
Okay, so please, what's your advice to this upcoming psychologists?
Okay, my my simple advice to them today, right? Let's start from there. It was Alvin Toffler, the futurist, in his book Future Shock in 1970, who said that the illiterates of the future would not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and of course relearn. I'm sure they have learned so many new things today, and of course I'm also very confident they've unlearned some things they have learned in the past, right? And I'm extremely confident that they are going to also relearn some new things. So I want to advise them to just be perpetual learners. Keep on learning things that are not helping you. Keep relearning things that you have learned in the past, right? And then keep relearning, unlearning, and learning. That's my advice to them. The sky is just the starting point. When we started psychology over 2 decades ago, psychology was not this popular. But at this point in time, psychology is extremely popular, and people are making so much money using this particular discipline. So all they need to do is to learn more, expand more, be more, and achieve more. Thank you.
What's the significance of this event?
Well, this event is very significant to our students because it helps them understand what the profession psychology is all about. This event is just going to help them understand what are those traits they ought to have as a psychologist, as a becoming psychologist. That's why it's the theme of the program is becoming a wholesome psychologist. We understand that some students don't even know why they're in the department. They just feel, okay, I think psychology can help you and all of that. But what does it take to really be a psychologist? That's what this event is all about, and that's the significance of this event.
Okay, so what's your advice to the students?
Oh, my advice to the student is to learn all they have to learn in this event, and also to make sure that they take all of the traits that will be mentioned today seriously. Make sure they imbibe it as a lifestyle. Make sure that they incorporate it. Kind of like one of the examples, one of the traits they are supposed to imbibe is empathy. You can't be a psychologist without being empathetic.